Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Workers' Mic, powered by the Midwest Coalition of Labor, right here on 720 WGN. My name is Ken Edwards. I am the director of the Midwest Coalition of Labor. Sitting to my left is Ed Maher. Ed is the communications director of the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 150.
Right you are. Good morning, Ken.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great.
How's your weekend?
So far, so good.
So far, so good. Who's going to win the Super Bowl, by the way?
You know, I've said several times on the air before that Philadelphia has got the worst sports fans in the world. And
boy, do they ever.
For that reason, I kind of want them to win because I want to see those people climbing up greased light poles and, you know, eating horse manure in the streets and stuff like that again. It's just, where else are you going to see that? So never thought I'd say it, but fly, Eagles, fly.
Fly, Eagles, fly. That's right. My son goes to school there and is a giant Eagles fan. So I am pulling
What
for
up, Evan?
Yeah, I'm pulling for the Eagles. I think it's going to be a good game, though, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're two great teams.
And more importantly, as long as my box numbers come in, like the squares, that's all I particularly really care about.
Yeah, I mean, then you can pay the mortgage this month, right?
That's correct.
That's important.
It is important.
You need a place to live. So today we've actually got a really interesting guest.
We do, yeah.
It's Alyssa Cruz, and she is an apprentice who works for the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 134. She's a member, an electrician, and she recently introduced the president at a job announcement.
The president of the union?
No, the president of the United States.
Oh, that president.
Right, as an apprentice from Chicago, a Latina female, and so we're super excited to talk to her. She's got an awesome backstory, and
awesome.
I think, everybody be sure you stick around for that because you're not going to want to miss it.
Awesome. Yeah, looking forward to it. What's going on in labor worlds here in Chicago? There's a few things happening. One, I think, of note is what's happening at the United Center.
Yeah, actually, speaking of sports, good transition there. It's the concession workers at the United Center who are represented by Unite Here, the hotel and restaurant union,
Right.
hospitality union. They're employed by a company called Levy Restaurants or Levy Entertainment.
Yeah.
They authorized a strike earlier this week. It was a vote of the membership, and 98% of them authorized a strike. So at any time, the concession workers at the United Center who serve beer and food at Bulls games, Blackhawks games, and whatever other events happen at the United Center.
Who actually make the games enjoyable.
I mean, that's what I'm saying here, because you want to talk about leverage for these employees, because they're basically, the main thing that they're after, I believe, is wages, like some sort of increase to help them keep up with inflation.
Sure.
But you want to talk about leverage. What happens if they go on strike? If they go on strike, say, for an unfair labor practice and they can't be replaced,
right.
You go to get a burger or a pretzel or a beer or whatever, and those windows are closed, you're
having a boring game.
It's going to be the quietest Bulls game ever. You're going to be able to hear the ball dribbling off the ground and the squeaking of the shoes. So, they've got a lot of leverage. But on a serious note, the Unite Here, the local union that represents them, based out of Chicago here, they put out some numbers to the press, and their other members would include folks who clean hotel rooms and work in hotels, work in restaurants. It's a hospitality-based union, but they released numbers that said that 29% of their membership have family members, people living in their household that are food insecure because money is so tight that they can't afford food. I mean, these are union members, but many of them have to work 2 and 3 jobs because some of them are low-wage jobs. So,
and I imagine the concession workers, obviously, they're not working 40 hours a week.
Right. Yeah, right. You work a couple games a week. The off seasons are probably tough. And I'll say this. How much money does it cost to go to a Bulls game or a Blackhawks game with a family? Let's say you're going with...
It's like $1 million.
It's a lot of money.
It's a crazy amount of money.
And for the fact that the people that maybe second to the players are the most valued people in that building,
the people that serve you the beer.
Serve the alcohol, they're struggling to make ends meet or feed their kids at home. I think any sports fan who goes to these games can understand that. Like, if you're spending $10 on a beer, some of it should be going to the workers. The people serving it to you should be getting a piece of that.
Absolutely. And here, let me just talk directly to the Players Association, right? NBA Players Association. Step in.
What are you going to do if the strike happens? Are you going to cross that picket line?
That's a really good question. NBA Players Association, what are you going to do? Step in. You have a bully pulpit, for Christ's sakes. You have a soapbox. Step in and help those workers. right?
A lot of times the players' unions don't function in the same way that a traditional union would.
We're gonna talk about that. I think we're gonna need to call some of these players, associations, union leaders in, because I think they have a lot of leverage.
Right.
You're a Tom Brady, and you're in the NFLPA, I think is what it's called, the NFL Players Association. I mean, you have the world will listen to you. And why not talk about labor issues? You see people like, what's the guy's name? Matt Damon.
Right.
Right. I mean, he was born, I think, from teachers. He always talks about pro-union. Some people, they get it.
Right.
But where is it? Where are the players when the concession workers, the ones that literally are making the game fun?
Right.
You're the talent, no question about it. But, it's the people that are behind the scenes. Where are they when these people don't have enough money to feed their family?
Right. And, I mean, the players may not realize the power of their voice in this sense. They're used to, talking about basketball, talking about hockey, selling products. But, as workers with a higher visibility that are part of a union, I think it's an opportunity for them to help lift others up.
I think they have a moral obligation to do so, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully. So the strike has just been authorized. It hasn't been called yet. These workers are not on strike at this moment, but it could happen at any time. So the hope, of course, is that the sides can meet and come to an agreement that allows these employees to carry on, to keep up with inflation, and live with dignity and make sure that everybody in their house can afford to eat.
I read something in Cranes, I think, that some of them can't get to the doctor, like literally can't afford to go to the doctor.
Right.
And it's a shame, and I think it's also incumbent upon the union to help that situation as well. I know that Unite here has a doctor's office, but it's located downtown, and we've chatted with them about the MCL has we're opening doctor's offices at the moment, and maybe there's a better way to provide that service so their members can go to the doctor and go to the doctor for free.
I think every worker who is in a position where they don't have to make a decision between paying the rent and affording their kids medicine, everyone who is fortunate enough to not have to live in that situation should try to help lift up people who are.
Right.
So when you hear more about this, everybody out there, have a sympathetic ear and speak up and do what you can for these folks, because they're just trying to have what so many workers already have.
Let me ask you this, Ed. So what about the fans, right? So let's say there's a Bulls game and the workers go on strike. That half of the people that are going to these games, or I shouldn't say that, but a large chunk of the people that are going to these games are union members, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We do ticket promotions, and they have union night and blah, blah, blah. They're not going to cross that picket line.
Right.
Right? They're not going to go in and, and sit there while these people are outside striking to watch a basketball game. So the place is going to be half empty anyway.
Half empty, quiet, sober, no drinks flowing. People be getting all hopped up on, Diet Cokes. It's a pretty sad substitute.
Boring.
Right. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, we wish them luck and, more importantly, solidarity, and hopefully that this will get resolved.
Right. We're going to have to take a break in a minute, but we want everybody to stay tuned. Last week, we had a giveaway. First giveaway in Workers' Mike history.
Bass Pro Shop.
Yeah, a gift card to Bass Pro. So it was based on social media comments. We have picked a winner.
Yeah, out of the thousands and thousands of people that commented.
Seriously, I could barely keep up with it. My phone just wouldn't stop.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
We picked a winner, and we're going to announce that winner at the conclusion of today's show. You are listening to the Workers' Mic right here on 720 WGN. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to the Workers' Mic right here on 720 WGN. My name is Ken. I'm here with Ed. Hello, Ed.
What's happening, Ken?
Hey, and we talked earlier, and we're really psyched to have a really cool guest with us today, Alyssa Cruz, correct? Did I get that right?
That's it. Yes, you did.
And you are, what, a 134 apprentice?
Correct.
What year?
I am a fifth year now.
How many years does it go?
5 years total.
Okay.
And 134, for everybody out there listening that doesn't know, it's the IBEW, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers.
And so explain to me real quick, or explain to our audience, your local, right? Because there's a lot of different IBEW locals. What does Local 134 do?
So it's based out of Chicago. We do a lot of downtown work, a lot of commercial, some residential.
Construction?
Construction, yes.
Got it. And you guys are Cook County, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so you have an interesting background. We were chatting, before the show, and, my understanding is that you introduced President Biden at the White House.
I did. I was lucky enough to be selected.
How cool is that?
It was cool. It was very intimidating.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. And so you flew to D.C.
Yes.
And what was the occasion? Like, what were you introducing him for?
It was to talk about the infrastructure talent pipeline, kind of green energy conversation, deals with UV charging stations and other green energy aspects.
And how did a fifth-year apprentice, from Chicago, like, how do you wind up getting this gig? That's what I want to know.
Right place, right time.
That's it.
Yeah, our business manager, Don Finn, got a phone call, and they were asking for a female minority apprentice to...
You fit the bill.
I did.
And you're like, here, that's me.
He poked his head out of the office, and he's like, hey, you, Alyssa.
Yeah. Pick me.
I was literally right across from him when he got the phone call, so if not, it could have been anyone else.
That's amazing.
So one day you're on the job as an electrician, just working, and a couple days later, you're in the blue room at the White House introducing the president.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
Oh, yeah. My heart's racing again. Sorry.
Just thinking about it.
Just
Sorry,
thinking
we don't
about
wanna bring back the stress, but that's very cool.
Yeah,
Thank
you should be honored. And I know that, for whatever people say about Biden, he's pro-labor, and he's pro-union. And, although we take him to task, sometimes, for some things like the railroad shoving that contract down people's throat, I didn't think it was great. But, this infrastructure bill, which is the bipartisan infrastructure bill, is work for a generation for us, right? And for you and for your family and for your future. You're just coming up into the trade, but, you hope that bill is going to provide work for eons for you, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's great.
And I just read something last week that just in 2023 across the country, there's going to be $900 million spent on wind and solar energy just out of that federal infrastructure bill. So wind and solar electricity, that's got to be a lot of work for electricians. I mean, you've got to build the fields also. There are other workers involved, but that's a lot of work for electricians.
That's good news.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's go backwards now, and talk about your background a little bit. So tell us, like, briefly, where are you from? You from Chicago?
Yeah, I'm from the suburbs of Chicago.
Okay.
Born in Addison, grew up there, and I went to UIC for a little bit of college.
Okay.
And
what did you do at USC?
I studied business management and accounting for a little bit, and I was on their gymnastics team.
Cool. So do you still have college debt?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I do. And that was only for 2 years.
2 years. All right. And then, okay, so you go to college, right? And then what happens? Do you go straight into the trades? Or do you get a job?
No. I started working for a small sales company and then jumped into New York Life.
Okay.
And I did a couple years there, worked a couple years there doing a little bit of asset management and some life insurance.
Right.
And then I kind of
Wasn't your
pivoted.
bag, huh?
It wasn't what it was supposed to be.
Corporate America is not for everyone.
Definitely not.
And so how do you then take us from that gig, right? So working for New York Life, which is a giant, I'm sure, Fortune 500 company, to you becoming an apprentice at Local 134 of the IBW. Like, how does that happen?
So I have 5 uncles and my father that are Local 134 members or retired now.
Yep.
And at the time, 2 uncles were retiring. So I got the nerve to ask them if I can do some retirement planning for them. If I can at least just peek into, what their retirement was going to look like. I was lucky enough to review it. And when I saw IBW 134 benefits going into retirement,
Wait a second.
I was like, I'm in the wrong industry for sure.
So you literally had this epiphany by looking at what these guys were getting and what they were going to retire with, and said to yourself, wow, maybe I should switch careers.
Oh, yeah. After that meeting, I looked at my dad and I said, Dad, I think I'm going to become an electrician. And he thought I was joking.
Yeah, just like that.
Oh, yeah, just like that.
I know I said I was going to become a lawyer and everybody laughed at me too.
Stop.
They still laugh, Ken. We're still all laughing.
Nobody's actually sure. No one's actually seen my degree, right?
Did you bring it with you? I wouldn't mind seeing it.
I carry it in my pocket.
Okay. Internet law school.
Do they have those internet law schools?
I'm sure they do.
Yeah, you should go to one.
I should.
And one for communications.
Yeah, I could use a little bit of help.
So anyway, we digress. So what'd you start as a helper?
Yes. So I did like a 9-month program just to get my feet wet on the job site, get the understanding of the tools, the material, and literally just wearing a pair of work boots for the first time.
For the first time ever.
Yeah, it was definitely new. After those 9 months, then yes, I tested in and I got onto the apprenticeship program as a first year.
Ed, you were a helper.
I was a summer helper when I was in high school with 134, and I worked for a company called Block Electric, and it was awesome. And that's where Alyssa is currently working, according to her sweatshirt.
Small world.
They just give out free sweatshirts. But I had a great time. So what's up to my friends over at Block Electric?
Not really the message.
He's got no friends.
But that's absolutely true. They're like, who is this guy? I've never heard of him. But I mean, you raise an interesting point, because to get into an apprenticeship, there are a lot of folks out there who may think that construction apprentices are for people who get C's and D's in high school, and everybody else goes to college unless you belong in a trade school or into a trade. But I mean, to even qualify as an apprentice is so difficult that you have to go through sometimes pre-apprentice programs or helper programs just to get the skills that you need to get in, because it's competitive, it's challenging work, and it's not for dummies. I mean, apprenticeship programs are extremely competitive. I mean, at Local 150, ours has a higher rejection rate than Caltech, and so you're looking for people who have college educations and everything. But it's challenging.
Yeah.
And how did you find it? Like, did you find it? Like,
I'm still learning.
I mean, but you went from nothing, like having
Zero.
just having family members that were electricians, to literally becoming a helper, then testing and becoming a first-year apprentice, and you've walked through that system ever since, correct?
Yeah, I mean, just because I do have the family in the business, it's not like at Thanksgiving I'm like, hey, how was work today?
Yeah, right.
So it was all brand new for me.
Yep.
But I mean, they pave it really well so that I'm not like completely lost.
And how many hours do you put in as an apprentice before you become a journeyman?
Oh, that's a good question.
I think it's like 8,000 hours, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, that sounds about right.
And that's amazing, right? I mean, that's actually more hours than you would take in terms of college courses, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, probably. And it's good. It's comforting to know that if you hire a union electrician, this is somebody who has gone through 8 hours of training, or 8,000 hours of training, somebody who actually knows what they're doing and is taught by instructors, rather than the guy standing next to him on the job who might not be a very good electrician himself, in a non-union setting or less professional setting.
So tell us, what do you do on the job? Like, just give us a normal day right now as a fifth-year apprentice. What do you do?
Right now we're working at a 16-story condo. It's a remodel, so it's in the later stages of this building. And right now we're trimming in outlets, installing the light fixtures and stuff. Kind of the final end of things, but yeah, I mean, I saw it kind of from a shell, from a skeleton, and seeing everything kind of come together.
And you're doing all the wiring, all the electricity, et cetera.
Definitely.
Right? And
yeah,
so
to
your point, Ed, you want to have skilled people doing that so your house doesn't catch on fire.
For sure.
Right?
Electricity is no joke.
Yeah, exactly.
As someone who's electrocuted myself once or twice, I leave it to the professionals.
It's definitely no joke.
Yeah, that's cool. So we're talking right now with Alyssa Cruz. She is a fifth-year apprentice for IBW Local 134. And would you mind sticking around after the break? Because we have some more questions for you.
Definitely. Sounds good.
Okay, well, we'll be right back right here on 720 WGN, the Workers' Mic.
All right, we're back with the Workers' Mic here on 720 WGN. I'm Ed Maher here with Ken Edwards and our guest, Alyssa Cruz, an apprentice from the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 134. If you were with us on the last segment, we were talking a little bit about Alyssa's got an extremely interesting background, wound around a little bit through the corporate world before, finding sort of a great situation in the trades. So welcome back, Alyssa. Thanks for sticking around.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you said you were a fifth-year apprentice. We've called it, earn while you learn, right? So just what are you making right now?
Roughly around 41 and change, 41.64, I believe.
And that's on the check. that's not including benefits,
Correct.
pension, health care, et
Correct.
cetera.
Yeah,
That's
that's what comes to me.
just the check. And as an apprentice, you get raises what, in every 6 months?
Every 6 months, correct.
No matter what,
Yep.
right? As long as obviously you're
complete
not
hitting
the
your
training
hours.
and you're doing
Yeah.
and you're doing well, right? It's not
Right.
like you just get a free pass. You actually have to, do you get tested?
You have to work.
But I'm saying, like, do you like have somebody watching you, make sure that you're actually performing?
Yeah, your boss.
Yeah. Your foreman, your general foreman, your
Yeah.
journeyman. Yeah,
Okay.
you're definitely under the eye for sure.
Right. It's not just a free pass. Like,
Correct.
welcome to the trades, see you in 30 years when you retire.
Oh, no, your employer, your contractor's got to be profitable. They have to be able to make money and count on you to be able to do what you're
work's gotta
supposed to
show.
do. Right.
Yeah, right. So then when you, what do they call it, graduate, I guess, or when you become a
When
journeyman.
we tap out, yeah.
And I say journeyman, it should be journey person, right?
Journey person is the proper term now.
Is that right?
Yes.
Who knew?
I knew that.
You knew that?
Yeah.
Journey person,
Or journey
There
worker.
it is.
journey worker. Okay.
I've heard that one.
So you become a journey person when?
You hit your 8,000 hours
Mm-hmm.
after your 5 years, and you're making $52 and change.
God bless. Good
Yeah,
for you.
right.
That's great.
I got a little bit less than a year to go,
Okay.
and then I'm tapped out.
And have you spent any of this money? Buy anything? Buy a bass boat or
I bought my first house as a 4th-year apprentice.
That's amazing.
3rd-year apprentice.
That's
actually.
amazing.
Yes,
That's great.
Yes.
Good for
All
you.
thanks to IBW. Couldn't do it without him.
Yep.
Definitely
Congratulations.
very, very blessed to be able to do that on my own.
That's great. And
You know,
so go ahead,
Something
I'm
I
sorry.
wanted to point out is, the journey worker rate, your apprentice rate, and a union contract provides that rate. So there's typically, what's called a gender pay gap or a racial pay gap, like a difference where, a female worker in most industries makes on average like 80-something cents for every dollar that a male worker would earn. But with a union contract, that's not the case. Are you an electrician? A male electrician makes the same as a female, makes the same as a white, black, Catholic, Muslim, gay, straight. There's no discrimination under a union contract. And I think that's something that unions could do more to share with people because it's such a hot issue in society. But, I've often said to Ken that the best way to protect yourself, the best tool to protect yourself from wage discrimination is a union contract.
Yeah, wage theft. So you make the same as the guy right next to you is a 5th-year apprentice. Doesn't matter what he looks like. You guys make the exact same amount of money.
Absolutely. It's a great feeling.
It should be a good
Right.
feeling because
It's the way it should be.
First of all, it's the way the entire country should be.
Yeah, right. You would think that's a common practice.
But it's not even close.
No.
I mean, and studies have shown, for years upon years upon years, and I think, women are like literally like it was 70 cents and now it's 80 cents. Like, woo, like
Yeah,
we're
right.
catching
We're
up.
climbing.
We do the exact same amount of work, if not more,
Yeah.
and we're getting paid less. But like Ed said, union contract, literally evens the playing field.
Mm-hmm.
And so let me ask you this: as a woman in the building trades, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think the building trades have about 14% women.
Oh, it varies among trades, but I know that IBW's got a pretty high percentage, and I want to say it might be, or with females, I'm not 100% sure. I'm more sort of familiar with the minority numbers, but the number I know year over year gets bigger every year.
That's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how's your experience been in that regard?
No complaints. It's definitely, it's called a brotherhood. I mean, everyone treats me as an equal. I don't feel like I'm a female walking in, one of the only females on a job site.
Right.
You won't feel it
Really?
at all. It's awesome. It's nice.
I think that has probably shifted over the past few decades, don't you think?
Probably.
And what about as a woman of color? I mean, anybody give you a hard time? Nothing.
Not yet. I mean, I don't see it coming in the future. Again, like if something were to happen, my coworkers, all of my brotherhood, they would step up before I even got a word out.
Yeah, that's good.
Which is really nice. They're definitely.
It's interesting. So, it's a good feeling. And my friends laugh because I always call people like, hey, what's up, brother? What's up, sister?
Right.
But we mean it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
if you are a member of, like I come from the operators and I call people brother, I still talk to guys I met 30 years ago and I still call them brother, and we literally mean that,
Yeah.
So we call you sister, What
That's me.
That's you, right?
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. And so if you had to give some advice, right, to a young, let's say, let's just use you 10 years ago, right? You give yourself advice from 10 years ago. What would that advice be to somebody that, doesn't necessarily want to go to college,
right.
or might not know anything about the building trades, right? What would you say to that person?
I mean, I started from ground zero. So don't feel like you need some type of prior knowledge, prior experience. I didn't know the difference between a hammer and a screwdriver before getting into this.
Ed still doesn't.
So now, just throughout the years, you're growing, you're developing, and with the training of the apprenticeship program, it's phenomenal. And even after you're out of the school, you're in the trade, you're working, you're hands on. You have a question, you look left, you look right. You've got your journeyman, you've got your general foreman, you've got answers somewhere if it's not within yourself.
Right.
So it's. I mean, you just got to pull the trigger. You just got to do it.
And are you happy with the decision that you made?
Oh my God, very, very happy. It's a great opportunity that I'm blessed with. So I've gotten far with IBEW.
We say that in the building trades and unions in general, we're our own best kept secret.
Right.
And I mean that, like, part of the thrust of this show is to try and get the word out about what unions do and what labor does, and we talk about workers' issues as well. But it's always been like you said, a family business. So you have to know somebody, or the people think that you have to have some sort of skill set to walk in the door, or have an uncle in the business, or blah blah blah, whatever that is. That's not really the case. I mean, I know your family was in it, but your family didn't say well, she's now a member of 134. Like, you had to apply and start as an helper.
I did the whole process like everyone else did. I mean, I tried getting into the apprenticeship program. I didn't pass just because I didn't have any experience. So that's when that helper program really stepped up. It helped me get hands-on experience.
It's like a pre-apprentice program?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Does all the trades have that?
A lot of them do. I know the operators have one. The laborers have worked with them. But, there are certain areas, and especially in the city of Chicago, there are no longer technical programs at the public schools.
Right.
And so apprenticeship programs are finding that it's harder, and these students are at a disadvantage. And so it's not fair to have them at a disadvantage just because their schools didn't offer tech programs, and there's some kid from a private school who's used a hammer at school, or who has taken some sort of a welding class in high school, and so the unions are trying to kind of give a little bit of help to prepare people to take the test and score well enough to have a fair opportunity to get into the program, because as we were talking about, these programs are becoming more diverse, and that's a good thing. That's a necessary thing. And I think it's really important, Alyssa, what you say about being, a woman in the trades, which is historically just a male-dominated industry, because every time another woman gets in, you're an example to other women who might think, well, that's not a career for me.
Right.
And so you're keeping the momentum going, and hopefully, you'll help continue to grow kind of the ability of women to voluntarily step in and see this as a legitimate job opportunity, where you can be a third-year apprentice with some college debt and still buy your own home. I mean, I know a lot of folks who were 3 years out of college and working at whatever their job was after college, and they couldn't afford a home. They're still living with mom and dad. So it's a tremendous opportunity.
Oh, it definitely is. It's done me well so far. Again, it's you don't need the knowledge coming in. You'll learn it along the way, and trust me, I talked to my dad, who's been in the industry for 30 years. He's still learning. He's still growing. He's still making the money.
Yeah. So do you see yourself, where do you see yourself in 10 years, 20 years from now? I mean, do you see yourself continuing to be a journey person? Do you want to go into the, work for the union itself? Like, what tell me.
I
mean, you already introduced the president, right? So you got a kind of a
star.
Yeah, right. I got a good head start there.
Yeah, you got a high bar.
No, I jumped into this with a couple options of, maybe down the road, maybe I want to start my own company. I definitely have the help to do that if I wanted to. But right now, I actually just became an associate trustee on the board of our insurance trustees.
Wow. Yeah. Well, you've got that New York life insurance background, right?
A little bit of background, and I did let them know. I'm still new. I was still learning stuff then. But no, they've been helpful. I've been sitting in on conferences quarterly, learning, absorbing, soaking it in, just because it is new to me. But Yeah.
That's amazing. So you're the first associate trustee
as an apprentice. Yeah.
That's amazing. Kudos to you. So if you're just joining, we're going to wrap this up pretty quick, but we're talking to Alyssa Cruz. She's an IBW Local 134 apprentice. And the conversation has been really, really interesting. I will give Local 134 and the rest of the trades that are doing this. I just read something. The carpenters graduated their first all-women apprentice class,
wow.
which is just amazing, right?
Wow.
And you need to take these young folks like yourself and train them not only in the jobs, right? You're learning a skill set to build buildings and construction and whatever that particular trade is, but you also need to learn the business of the union, right? Because we have to train our leaders, our future leaders now. And if you have 20 years of sitting there watching board meetings and looking at what a health plan looks like, and the IBW just opened up its first doctor's office, right?
Yes.
And I went there, I toured it. It's amazing, right? It has its own eyeglass store. It's really, really cool. And so doing stuff like that, teaching the younger folks, I think, is really, really important to, number one, keep the labor movement, viable, and then actually move it forward.
Right.
And as we've talked about, do better, right?
Definitely.
Bring on some young people that have, some smarts, to be blunt with you, and put them in positions where, they can learn and then help
make a difference.
That's exactly right. Make a difference.
Yeah.
Do good.
That's the goal.
Well, these are multi-billion-dollar operations, and so we need smart, enthusiastic young people to take the reins over.
We certainly do. You think of union and some bunch of guys smoking cigars in the back room or something like that, right? And then you go to the 134's hall, and it's it's like a stadium.
It's beautiful.
It's absolutely beautiful. It was a high school, right? And they've opened. I think you guys opened your gym to the neighborhood so people can come play basketball there. Right. I mean, it's badass what the building trades are doing. So we really appreciate your coming here today.
Now, before you leave, I do have one question for you, and that is, around the city, you've worked probably in every area of the city. What's the best place to get lunch in the city of Chicago?
Oh, no. If I say I pack my lunch, is that a bad answer?
All right, you can get away with that one.
You pack your lunch?
I do.
Like a little brown bag?
Well, that's why she could afford a house in her third year as an apprentice. She's smart.
It's called money management, budgeting.
Wow, you're a better person than I. I've never brought my lunch anywhere. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really, really appreciate it.
Thanks for sharing
your story. Having me.
Yeah, for sure. You're listening to the Workers' Mic right here on 720 WGN. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to the Workers' Mic, powered by the Midwest Coalition of Labor. My name is Ken Edwards from the Midwest Coalition of Labor. Sitting next to me is Ed Maher with the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 150, right here on 720 WGN.
That was a great guest. That
was awesome, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really interesting, really cool, inspiring.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we need more of that. I'm going to talk very briefly, and then we're going to announce our winner. So we'll make you wait to the end.
Dun, dun. Got to listen. Got to listen to the whole show.
So the Department of Labor came out and they said that we have this brand new program here in the United States. It's called MPower. M like Mary. MPower. And it's called Multilateral Partnership for Organizing, Worker Empowerment, and Rights. MPower.
Rolls off the tongue.
It's ridiculous. By the way, so I don't even know what MPower stands for. Multilateral Partnership. And what it is. Mm-hmm. You would think oh my God, this sounds great. This is going to be amazing. We're going to help workers in the United States. No, it's not. It's for workers of the world, like in international places that maybe not have unions or whatever. That we, the United States, of course, are going to step in and help them lift up the standards of their workers. Now, that's great.
Yeah,
and it's altruistic. But
there's a lot of work. There's also a lot of work to be done here.
Yeah,
I mean, putting the basics in place in another country is important.
For sure.
But I wonder if this is a result of the Department of Labor, having this mission to protect workers, advance workers' rights, but realizing that under the current political climate in the United States, there isn't a damn thing that they're going to be able to get done, very unfortunately. And so they're actually being forced by that to look, outside our shores.
I don't know, and it's a good point. here's what President Biden said. We're fostering greater worker power because workers organize in a union to give them the voice in their workplace, in their community, and their country isn't just an act of economic solidarity, it's democracy in action. Now, that is an amazing soundbite.
It is.
But guess what? Let's start right here.
Yeah.
How about for the past, I don't know, couple of years where we had the presidency, and I should say the Dems had all three branches of government. Why couldn't we pass something?
The PRO Act, for example. You want to talk about moving workers forward. But, I think that they recognize that there's only so much they can do through executive order or rules making at an agency. So at least they're taking this inability to get big things done at a national level, and they're trying to help others. I can't say that I disagree with trying to spread the basic workers' rights to other countries. I think that's a good thing.
Of course,
it just reminds you that what a pity it is that we're so politically crippled in this country right now by gridlock that we can't get something done.
Well, maybe they'll find it in their house in the classified documents.
I mean, who's next? Seems like it's everybody. I'm pretty sure I don't have any classified documents, but if I say that, they're probably going to find some at my house.
I actually planted some.
I knew it.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
I got an idea, though. I'm going to digress for 1 second, and that is, look, Trump had him, right? Makes no bones about him. All of a sudden, Biden has him now. I think Pence may have some.
Right.
Everybody's got them.
Yeah, I feel left out.
Imagine what Clinton has, by the way. So here's my thought. Everybody, and sorry, Biden, but you're going to need to do this. Take one for the team. Everybody that has classified documents goes to jail.
Yeah.
You have them, you just go to jail.
Right.
Right? And we kind of solve a lot of problems in that regard because you don't have to worry about Trump versus Biden. They're all just in jail. You got classified documents, and then we start over again.
It's not a bad idea.
Thank you so much.
Crazy.
Thank you so much. And that is not the idea, by the way, that somebody won the Bass Pro Shop card.
It's giveaway time.
It is giveaway time. So we would like to congratulate T.L. Bagley. And I believe it's a he because I looked at his page and it says male. So I'm not sure because it says
Cardinals fan.
Oh, sorry.
Nobody's perfect.
T.L. Bagley said this: I think the way to promote unions better is to educate the average worker on the benefits of organizing. A lot of workers just see an extra deduction on their wages because of union dues. But if you could show them on paper what the unions could do for wage increases and working conditions, I think it would be a domino effect throughout working world in Illinois, especially for warehouse workers. Let's face it, warehouses are going up weekly, and that's
absolutely true.
It's a great point. And they're being, I'm stopping for a second. They're being built union.
Right.
I mean, the building trades have tons of work with all these warehouses going on. But guess what? When the warehouses are built, they're going to be staffed by
people who are not allowed to go to the bathroom.
Low-wage workers that have to pee in a bottle before they go to work. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Anyway, so he said that, and then of course he also said support the politicians that support the unions, and I think that those are really salient points. So congratulations, T.L. Bagley, you are the first winner of the very first giveaway,
the Bass Pro Shop, $100. It's all yours.
Yeah, and so I'm going to reach out for you, Mr. Bagley, and get it your way, and you're going to walk into the Bass Pro Shop and scream, "Where's the American-made section?"
Yeah, and then you're going to walk out and you're going to find yourself a real baseball team to cheer for.
Ouch. Whoa. He's a winner, by the way.
Yeah, okay? I know. He is a winner.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Listen.
Great show this week.
Yeah,
thank you for being with us.
And thank you for being with us, and thank you for making us the #1 show on Sunday mornings at 8 o'clock. It's an honor, right? So you've been listening to the Workers' Mic right here on 720 WGN. We'll see you next week.